Today I'm going to be going over the answers to the review, gravity, and friction. Gravity is a force of attraction between two objects that's due to their masses. So the two factors that determine the strength of the gravitational force is the mass of those objects and the distance between them. For example, there's gravity between me and my computer, but because the Earth is so large, the gravity between me and the Earth is much greater. Gravity also has to do with the distance between two objects. So when things get closer together, they've got a greater gravitational force. And everything that has mass has a gravitational pull. So the only thing on here that does not have a gravitational pull is laughter. But otherwise, the Earth, dirt, sun, air, trees, stars, moon, Mr. Garcia, and Uranus, they all have mass. Therefore, they all have gravity. Now, what is the difference between mass and weight? Mass is the same on all planets, while the weight changes because the weight depends on gravity. So your weight on the moon is different than on Earth because your weight depends on the gravity. There's less gravity on the moon, so you're going to weigh less. Moving on to friction. Friction is a force that opposes motion. And there are three kinds of moving friction. There's sliding, rolling, and fluid friction. In the example below, it shows that the object is being pushed with a force, but it's not moving. When an object is not moving, static friction is acting on the object. So in order to make this object not move, the static friction needs to be 14 newtons in the opposite direction. So that here our forces are balanced and it's not moving. There are three kinds of friction: rolling, sliding, and fluid friction, and I drew an example of each one. For the motorcycle, you can see that the motion of the motorcycle is going to the right, and rolling friction acts against it to the left. Same with sliding friction. The skier is moving to the right, so the sliding friction acts against it to the left. Fluid friction, we've got the motion, he's going downwards, but fluid friction acts against it and goes up into the parachute. Here are some more examples. An example of fluid friction with a liquid. We've got the sea turtle moving to the right and fluid friction acting against its motion. Example of fluid friction with the air is the parachuter, the leaf falling through the air, and a box falling through the air. Notice the size of these arrows. The larger the arrow, that's the direction it's going. So if you look at the leaf one, gravity is pulling it down and it has a greater arrow than the fluid friction against it. So even though fluid friction is acting upwards on the leaf, it's being pulled downwards because the force of gravity is greater. Looking at the graph to answer the questions, material Z has the greatest sliding friction because it has the steepest slope. Material X would be the best for a playground because it has the least amount of friction. It's more slippery. The title of the y-axis is sliding friction, and friction is measured in newtons. That is it.